More than 10 years after it first hit tabletops, the steampunk skirmish game in Her Majesty's name is back, and it's a heavyweight. This chunky, A4-sized, full-colour, hardcover book contains 200 pages, and Charles Merton and Craig Cartmel, also known as the Ministry of Gentlemanly Warfare, have refined and condensed a decade's worth of content and game testing. When the contents of the book itself take up 4 pages, you know you're destined for a lot of rules and extras ahead. Thankfully, each section gets sub- and sub-subsection values, making quick reference a doddle. Through the introduction, the basic conventions are covered. Then the game's golden rules, which are essentially how to play fairly and in the proper character of the period, are listed. Figure characteristics is section 2, briefly touching on model attributes, which are greatly expanded on later, before section 3 gets into the core of playing the game. The basic play system remains much the same, but there are refinements aplenty that we'll get into later. Players still alternately activate models based on their initiative. They move, resolve shooting and fighting actions with modified D10 rolls, they use pluck to determine who survives attacks, and once you've played out the chosen scenario until the objective's achieved, you just keep going like that. And yep, we just condensed 20 pages of core rules into what was essentially a checklist, but there's a lot to cover here, so hopefully you get the basic idea and are happy to move on to the fun stuff. It's quite a simple rule set at its core, but the excitement comes through the sheer variety of options that are ahead. Setup remains much the same too, covered in the playing area, which is section 4. The board has different terrain types, which not only impede movement, but can also be a threat. Thin ice or lava can cause harm, and there may even be active terrain, panicked animals, a mudslide, a moving locomotive, and so on. There are even rules for sea battles and wind rules that come into use during aerial combat. Now we're 40 pages in, and you'll have seen that the layout, on the whole, looks good and functional, with some inspiring in-game photographs bringing a bit of flair. The many tables in the book are very clear too, and with all that positive design stuff, we'll do our best to overlook the rather too cliched multitude of cogs that take up the background on every single page. Section 5 is the armoury, and this is a weighty one. In Her Majesty's name has rules to cover varied armour types and encumbrance, page after page of weapons which include shooting, fighting, grenades, shells, bombs, flame and more. There's equipment from the mundane to the weird and wacky. I mean, who doesn't want Fontwell's Fascinator in their life? And then we get to section 5.4, part of the armoury, vehicles, and it's here that we find the first really major overhaul that's present in the rules. The authors have gone to town adding much refined rules for every kind of vehicle you could possibly want. This was something a little lacking in the first edition and its expansions, with lots of muddy areas. Not so anymore. General vehicle rules are covered, then there's everything and the steam-powered dishwashing kitchen sink thrown in. Land vehicles, water vehicles and air vehicles comprise of 35 different options. There's animals, there's sail, there's steam, there's electricity and there's more, and they all have their own particular properties. It may be that they're buoyant, so they act as if they have the swimmer talent. They might be gas tight, making them immune to gas attacks. They could even have a ward, a sort of mystical type protection, and there's so much more. The land vehicles table alone contains delights such as steam elephants and electric cycles. The Mechanized Walkers section is a whole extra steampunk treasure box, and it gives players with a barrage of customization options for walkers, starting from the chassis up. There are different armour types, properties, types of crew, and equipment to fix onto the hard points of that chassis, which all vary the way the walker functions. Examples are given of existing walker types, and these are illustrated with some fine-looking miniatures, but there's also a point cost calculator, so if you want to design your own mech, you can. And we're still going. We told you there was lots to get into, and there is. Onwards to section 6, the Menagerie, which has tables of standard animals, horses, dogs, cats, snakes, even hippos, of exotic creatures, and whoa, wait, hippos aren't exotic? Oh no, this table contains great apes, sea serpents, lesser demons, and mummies. And then there's automata, golems, zombies, mechanical soldiers, all that sort of stuff. Loads of fun options. Section 7 brings a great many talents to the game. Some of these are fairly standard. One like dodge allows a pluck roll to be made with a modifier to attempt to evade an incoming shot. But then there's others that are far more unusual. Eyes in the back of the head makes a model immune to being outnumbered or having the mobbing up rule used against it. But are those mechanical eyes or real eyes? Well, that probably depends on the company you've chosen to play as. If they're real eyes in the back of the head, then your company and its models probably also have access to the mystical powers covered in Section 8. These take the game into the weird and supernatural, with 2 grades of power, lesser and greater. Fun options like gremlins, unleashed into the sealed space of vehicles and structures, are the sort of silliness that shows you the game isn't taking itself too seriously, and we reckon it's all the better for that. There's a good dose of pulp and a hint of camp to proceedings. And now, at page 95 and section 9, we reach the weightiest portion of the book, the companies. There are actually less here than have been created in the lifetime of the game and its various supplements, but with 23 on offer, we don't think anyone's going to begrudge the authors from holding some back, probably for some more future releases. The 23 included cover a good range of pulp possibilities, steampunk shenanigans and Victoriana tropes, a gloriously wild mix that it would be impossible to do justice to in a quick tour flip through. So we've got another video that focuses on the companies. Huzzah! You should be able to link to that somewhere around this video, probably at the bottom. Suffice it to say, there's enough in the book to keep you flipping back and forth through the pages for many hours as you try to decide which company to pick. Will you go for the revolutionary upstarts of the Brick Lane Commune, the twisted magi of the Hellfire Club, the stealthy threat of the Ninja, Scotland Yard's Q Division, or one of the many more? Well, whichever you choose, you'll find that gameplay is quick and easy, thanks to the now much refined rules, skills, and layout, and there's even a subsection at the end here that guides you through creating your own company. Section 10 covers the scenarios your company will play through, 15 in total, delivered in a concise way, and covering the rescue of a VIP, an escape from certain doom, a hunt for a mutated lab experiment, a bar fight, a pigeon capture attempt, and more. You can add some complications to your games, and these are environmental effects like rain, darkness and earthquakes, hazards such as crumbling ruins or traps, and NPC opposition such as armed civilians and authority figures. Various landscapes are covered too. There's the sort of stuff you'd expect, steampunk classics like city streets, canals and slums, but there's also more unusual overseas features such as India's teeming cities or Peking's Forbidden City. You can also fight out in rural areas, ancient landscapes, or on giant vehicles like the Hindenburg. It's a lot, and it's great. The last section covers campaigns, their structure, points, length, and rewards, and then that's it. This is the book that In Her Majesty's name deserves. It offers existing players a much refined version of the game that they love and will be a brilliant, easy to use, inspiring starting point for anyone venturing into this genre for the first time.
This video has been brought to you by WI Prime, Wargames Illustrated magazine's online members club. View more videos or find out more about WI Prime by following these links.